स्तोत्रस्त श्री श्रीमदे श्री भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। जय विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य स्तोत्रस्त श्री श्रीमद्भक्तिसिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी ठाकुर श्रील प्रभुपाद की अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौरभक्तवृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपी गो श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय। वृंदावन धाम की जय। संवेद भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री श्री गुरु गौरांग की जय। विष्णुपदाय कृष्ण प्रेष्ठाय भक्ति विकास पादाय कृष्ण प्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामिनि नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे वंदे श्री गुरु श्री श्री रूपं साग्रजातं सगुण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं श्री राधा कृष्ण पादान् सगुण ललिता श्री विशाखा। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। I wanted to take class on upcoming festival, in connection with upcoming festival. But this is pending from long time, which we started reading on the appearance day of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur from Sri Bhaktisiddhanta Vaibhava. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur on chanting holy names. It is audible, or you want to come front? Don't remember where we stopped, but anyway, I'll start from here. Gaudiya Kirtan tradition was replete with thousands of songs, mostly describing the forms, qualities, and pastimes of Krishna, Gauranga, and their associates, and intimate desires to serve them. Thousands of songs. In any bhakti tradition, we see that great devotees, acharyas, they have composed lots of songs. We see in Maharashtra, there are abhangas, sung by Tukaram. Then in Karnataka, literally, Purandaradas himself alone wrote more than 1 lakh songs. Out of that, I heard only 25,000 are available now. And there are others also, Kanakadas, Jagannath Das, and many. So there are thousands and thousands and thousands, tens of thousands. Similarly, in Gaudiya tradition also, Bhaktivinoda Thakur wrote hundreds and hundreds of songs. Narottam Das Thakur and many other acharyas wrote. I think it is Gunaraj Khan or somebody. He wrote whole Bhagavatam in Bengali song form. Whole Bhagavatam in Bengali song form.
Gunaraj?
Yeah, I have that book.
Gunaraj Khan.
You don't know about them? Anyway, I'm forgetting the name, I think. I'll tell you that book is there with me, published by Gaudiya Math. So like that, there are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and thousands. So Gaudiya Kirtan tradition was replete with thousands of songs, mostly describing the forms, qualities, pastimes of Krishna, Gauranga, and their associates and intimate desires. Yet Kirtan within the Gaudiya Math consisted mainly of less esoteric compositions. Often, because Gaudiya tradition is known for rasa theology. Theology word is a modern word or Western word or Christian word. Because this language itself is anyway. So there is rasa vichar, that word is good word to use. So there is lot of songs connected to that, like about Saraswati Thakur only. When first Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj came to Navadvip, means he was in 30 years he was in Braja, Vrindavan area, and when he came to, he sang, he murmured a song which is very esoteric, and Saraswati Thakur told that it should not be published. Unfortunately, after the departure of Saraswati Thakur, it was published in Gaudiya Math publications. We see that song book which is published by Sri Chaitanya Math includes that song. What is that? In this only beginning part is given, because it was not the policy of Saraswati Thakur to publish that song in a written format. Yeah, that is Khotaye Go Premamayi Radhe. The song beginning with Khotaye Go Premamayi Radhe was later revealed by Siddhanta Saraswati to Ananta Vasudeva Prabhu and possibly a few others. It was sung only on Babaji Maharaj Thirobhav Tithi at his Samadhi. Yet not until after Srila Saraswati Thakur's passing was it published by Ananta Vasudeva Prabhu. It seems inconsistent with Srila Saraswati Thakur's policy that this highly confidential text be widely distributed or recited. So like that there are so many esoteric. Like Prabhupada, our founder Acharya, A.C. Bhaktisiddhanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, he said that Shita Kamala Kuchala Mandala He, that song should not be sung widely. Although there is not much, but still that word Kuchala means breast. Shita means Lakshmi Devi. Lakshmi Devi's breast. So like that there are, of course that was not Gaudiya, it was pre-Gaudiya song written by I think Jaydev Goswami. Of course Jaydev Goswami's songs are also in a same fashion, very esoteric, is Gita Govinda. So it is particularly mentioned about Bhakti Vinod Thakur that to nullify this gap of, he wrote songs at different levels, beginning with sadhaka's level up to esoteric level. So before Bhakti Vinod Thakur, mostly there were esoteric songs. Of course, some are there by Narottam Das Thakur, Manusya Janama Paiya Radha Krishna Navajiya, and all those songs are there. But mostly it was more of esoteric, and Bhakti Vinod Thakur, he filled the gap there. That is also mentioned, noted in this book. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati's father was Phamari Vaishnava Acharya Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, known in secular circles as Sri Kedarnath Dutt. As an ideal Acharya in the Grahastha Ashrama, he oversaw an extensive family and discharged important responsibilities as a senior government officer, yet was still prodigiously active in Krishna service. Every evening after returning from work, he took his meal, slept from 8 till midnight, and then wrote for several hours. By such dedication throughout his life, he composed over 100 books in Sanskrit, Bengali, and English. He also preached widely among both lettered and common folk, and was instrumental in relocating and restoring the birthplace of Lord Chaitanya in Mayapur. Instead of reading all this, anyway, I am not getting that. Anyway, it is noted about. So, several songs of Bhaktivinoda Thakur form the basis of Gaudiya Math liturgy, along with some by Narottam Das Thakur and others. So, what was that? That is told here in Gaudiya Math daily schedule. A typical day in each Gaudiya Math began shortly after rising, means early morning. Devotees would congregationally sing Gurvashtaka by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Vaishnava Vandana. So this Gurvashtaka was sung actually before Mangalarti. So Prabhupada, he incorporated that in Mangalarti time. And Vaishnava Vandana, you all know that, by Devaki Nandan Das, which offers respects to all Vaishnavas. And then Sri Guru Parampara, Srila Saraswati Thakur's composition describing the Brahma Madhva Gaudiya succession, utterance of which fulfilled the requirement that every disciple within every sampradaya must early each morning recite the names of prominent acharyas in his parampara from its inception to the present. This was part of the Vedic culture, that like kings also, they would hear their names of their previous kings in their dynasty. So that in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna said that. Second chapter of. No, Krishna just used the word Kaunteya and Bharata. So Prabhupada in the purport, he mentions that Arjuna had a great heritage from both maternal and paternal side. And great heritage brings responsibility. So similarly, And in this, especially in among spiritual circles, so remembering their mercy that we are and seeking their mercy more. We are in spiritual life because of them, like that. Srila Saraswati, okay, that was done. Requirement of every disciple within every sampradaya must each morning recite the names of prominent acharyas in his parampara from its inception to the present. Then Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat was read for a few minutes. This was followed by Mangalarti at 4:30. So all this was happening before 4:30.
So Mangalarti, that Guru Parampara was done
What Mangalarti?
at 4:30.
Mangalarti means there are two songs by by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Gaye Gad Gaura Gadadhar Arathi Nihari, that one. And Radha Krishna, that will come anyway, I'll read that. So they were Mangalarti songs, just like we have Gaura Arti song is there.
Now also it is followed.
Then Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat was read for a few minutes. This was followed by Mangalarti at 4. Attendance was compulsory. Any devotee who had not bathed by 4:30 due to sickness or late rising would stand at back hugging the wall, far away from those who had bathed and donned fresh clothes. During Mangalarti, the first prayer sung was Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's Arati Kirtan, beginning with Bale Gaura Gadadhar Arati Nihari, followed by Bhaktivinoda's Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Jive Daya Kari, the opening prayer of Sharanagati. Then Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda was chanted once or twice. And for the remaining few minutes, Kirtan of Mahamantra. Upon completion of the Arati and Kirtan, Jayadvani was recited. Next was Parikrama of the deities, performed 4 times accompanied by Kirtan, which would continue briefly after the circumambulations, and often was Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's composition beginning with Bajare Bajare Amar Mana Athi Manda or other songs. Next was Tulasi Arti, performed along with chanting of Sri Chandrasekhara Kavi's O reason that begins with Nama Nama Tulasi Maharani. A light breakfast of served between approximately 7 o'clock and 8. Oh, early. They would get up early. Anyway, coming back to chanting holy names or kirtans. Being preachers, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Srila Narottam Das Thakur had penned many songs meant to help devotees at the stage of sadhana bhakti so systematically progress towards the perfectional stage of prema. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati deemed such composition suitable for regular readers. Here, why it is used, bring preachers, Srila Narottam Das Thakur and Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Not every acharya in Gaudiya Sampradaya was a preacher, means they were bhajananandis, they would just sit and chant day and night. Then why they came to the material world? Just sit and chant.
Give some literature.
Huh?
Give some literature.
To?
Give some literature.
They didn't write, I am saying they just chanted only. Preachers, bhajananandis, why they came to the material world?
Show that aspect is also important.
That aspect is also important.
Apart from preaching.
In the material world, who will be doing that actually? Even preachers also, how many would be ready to? You are a preacher. Are you ready to sit? demonstrate the perfectional stage. Maybe. Even though, that is also perfectional stage. And those who are advanced, for them also further example is required. So, they give that. Okay, being preachers, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Srila Narottam Das Thakur had penned many songs meant to help devotees at the stage of sadhana bhakti to systematically progress towards the perfectional stage of prema. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati deemed such compositions suitable for regular recital within the Gaudiya Math. So Prabhupada also has given some instructions on this, which, like he made that song book, which was published by BUT. It's a small, actually, not many songs are there in that. But those songs were personally chosen by Prabhupada. And he gave instructions what should be sung, what should not be sung, etc. Esoteric songs and all. He was not. Nowadays, forget about esoteric songs. Some mundane songs they have included. There are many song books published by ISKCON devotees, and many of the songs are not written by Vaishnava Acharyas and pure devotees. Like for that Mama Mana Mandira, it is said that Bhaktivinoda Thakur composed it, but actually Bhaktivinoda Thakur didn't compose it, because it is Rasabhas. It is Bhaktisiddhanta Viruddha Arabha Rasabhas. Then, what is that Hindi song which is sung? Bhaja. Krishna Jinkana. Very popular Hindi song, North India. That is, I think, one of it. So like that. And one song book is titled as Songs of Vaishnava Acharyas. And in that there are all this Krishna Janaka. Which Vaishnava Acharya wrote that? Or Jayadvaita Maharaj gives Kirtan seminars. Previously he used to give. Many times he gave. Then he showed this book and said, Songs of the Vaishnava Acharyas. So then so many songs he pointed out in that book which were not written by Vaishnava Acharya. Of course, nowadays we don't see those books being published and circulated. Maybe they must be. In Vrindavan, maybe there. Apart from those songs that comprise the daily liturgy, he often had disciples sing selections from Bhaktivinoda Thakur that vocalize sentiments and aspirations suitable for devotees in sadhana bhakti. He stated that early morning chanting of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur Kirtan beginning Bhajare Bhajare Amar Mana Ati Manda is commensurate to stomping the mind with shoes, and that devotees should always remember it to help them overcome the uncontrolled mind. There is one more song, Bhavana Bhav. That one is there about mind actually. How wicked you are, O mind. Unless you give up Kama, Krodha, how you can attain Radha, Krishna, etc. etc. Among Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's confidential songs expressing devotion in the state of sadhya, two were stipulated for daily chanting by all disciples during Mangalarti and Sandhya Arti respectively. That begin with Bale Bale Gaura Gadadhar Arati Nihari, and that beginning with Jaya Jaya Radha Krishna Yugala Milana. Jaya Jaya Radha Krishna Yugala Milana. That is Narottam Das Thakur, no? It's Bhaktivinoda Thakur. I thought it is Narottam Das Thakur. Sometimes Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati would request one of his closest associates to sing to him other esoteric compositions of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, such as those beginning Amito Sananda Sukadavasi. Amito Sananda Sukadavasi Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Mainly it speaks about his original, his Swarupa actually. Radha Kunda Tata Kunja Kutir. Yeah, that is also sadhya. It is a bhava stage. Uddipana bhava. It explains Uddipana bhava actually of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. You know Uddipana bhava. Uddipana bhava means some things which are connected to Krishna, which suddenly arose sentiments in the heart. Like some devotee may see peacock and suddenly he will remember peacock feather of Krishna's head, and immediately he may fall unconscious. Immediately that bhava may arose in his heart. Or like it is described about Haridas Thakur in Chaitanya Bhagavat, that one snake charmer came and he was blowing his, in Hindi they call pungi, So he started playing his instrument, and immediately that reminded Haridas Thakur of Krishna's flute. So then he experienced ecstasy like that. That is elaborately discussed past time, how some smarta Brahmin imitated him and people beat him and chased him away, and they appreciated Haridas Thakur, etc. That So this Radha Kunda Tata Kunja Kuti, that is basically remembrance of those places of Krishna's pastimes. And Vrindavan especially, the climate of Vrindavan. Clouds of Vrindavan, Meghamala, that word is there in that. He is remembering all those. While pointing his disciples towards ultimate goal, Srila Saraswati Thakur insisted that unless suitably qualified, they should not concentrate on compositions articulating the highest devotional emotions, and especially not on those describing transcendental eroticism. There is a footnote here. Similarly, he maintained that devotional dances should not be enacted on stage, but performed only in temples before and for the pleasure of the deity of Krishna. Dancing, that's another big scam. One group of Western devotees, few times they came to India, and of course, sometime Prabhupada time also it happened. But women together dancing on the stage and all, doing performances, especially women. That too in India, it's a little not so good. He disallowed for public recitation many songs like to be erogenous for all but advanced devotees. Among such restricted compositions was the well-known and exquisitely beautiful extraordial song from Sri Gita Govinda, Mangala Geetam, in which only the first line, Shrita Kamala Kucha Mandalaya, was somewhat erotic. He who rests on the breasts of the goddess of fortune. Yet in the mid-1930s, he introduced the singing during Kartika of Ashtakaliya Leela Kirtanas from Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's Bhajana Rahasya, albeit they and their accompanying commentaries were recited only among devotees, not publicly. Thenceforth, during each Kartik, disciples at all levels particularly participated in hearing Bhajana Rahasya up to the fourth verse. Only a few particularly advanced disciples were permitted to recite or discuss the kirtans and commentaries on the remaining stanzas. Sometime in 1913, a Kirtaniya arrived unannounced at the house that Sri Siddhanta Saraswati was renting in Kolkata. So remember 1913, that time Gaudiya Math was not there. He was still, I think, chanting those 1 billion names, because from 1905 to it took 9 years, 9.5 years, means 1915. So billion names chanting was going on, but still he used to do a lot of preaching there that time, writing, preaching, publishing. He wrote his Chaitanya Charitamrita commentary, which is very well researched and very scholarly, very shastric. Before 1915, he published it in 1915, first time. I have that old publication, 1915 publication. He published Chaitanya Charitamrita with Bhaktivinoda Thakur's Amrita Prabha Bhashya and his own Anubhashya in 1915. Before that, Bhaktivinoda Thakur's Amrita Prabha Bhashya was published. It seems that he edited that, and sometimes he he includes some words and all here and there in between the comment. Sometime in 1913, a Kirtani arrived unannounced at the house that Sri Siddhanta Saraswati was renting in Kolkata. But when he chanted Bhuvana Mohini Radhe, O Radha, enchantress of the world, Sri Siddhanta Saraswati immediately objected. This is Siddhanta Viruddha, again a scriptural conclusion. Radha is the enchantress, Mohini, of the mind of the enchanter of the spiritual world, Krishna, and thus may be correctly called Bhuvana Mohana Mana Mohini. Bhuvana Mohini, an epithet for Durga, a parallel description of Bhuvana Mohana Mana Mohini is given in CC 1.4.95. That is Madana Mohana Mohi. So Bhuvana Mohini is who? Durga Devi, not Radha. He then expounded at length on authorized Rupanuga Kirtana of the name of Radha and spoke against cheating Prakrita Sahajiyas in their over enthusiasm to chant her name. And this singing Radhe 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 and all, even on Radhashtami, is not so much appreciated by our acharyas. Hare Krishna mantra. Hare Krishna includes Radha also. Prabhupada in Vrindavan, everyone says Radhe Radhe. Everywhere you must have seen written on the in the walls, on the trees. Radhe Radhe. People say Radhe Radhe. So that is fine, let them say. But Prabhupada, when he was greeted, whenever he would go on morning walk on that Chatikara road. Of course now you can't do walking there because it's so much traffic is there. So early mornings he would go for walking there, and many Brajavasis would come and greet him on the way. So they would say Radhe Radhe. He would not respond to them with Radhe Radhe. He would respond to them with Hare Krishna only. Because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he preached Hare Krishna movement, not Radhe Radhe movement. Or he preached Hare Krishna mantra. Hare Krishna includes Radha also. When a Grahastha disciple requested, Guru Maharaj, please ask Ananta Vasudev to sing Yashomati Nandana. He chants it so nicely. Srila Saraswati Thakur replied, this is the wrong attitude. All kirtan should be sung for Krishna's pleasure, not for you to hear and enjoy. Yashomati Nandana, Brajabara Nagara, you want a Nagara. You want this kind of song, not Dushta Mana Tumi Kisera Vaishnav. Or Gopinath Mama Nivedana Shunu. So there is footnote on this. These two songs instruct aspiring devotees about the importance of controlling one's mind and of sincerity, heartfelt prayer and humility. Sincerity, heartfelt prayer and humility. Oh, there are that Rupa Goswami, he described in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. On submission there is one, we have to submit to the Lord. Many of these songs are meant for submitting ourselves to the Lord. That is what in Sanskrit it is called Sharanapati. No, yes, not Sharanapati. Forgot. Offering prayers is one song, one anga. Another anga is submission. Vandana it is, I think. Maybe. So there he described three kinds of submissions. Samprarthanatmika, Dainyavodika and Lalasamai. So basically for us, first two are important. Lalasamai is meant for very advanced people. Of course, that is part of sadhana bhakti also. Lalasamai generally is seeking some perfection, desiring from perfection. Like this, Kabe Gauravane Suradinithati Hara Deha Krishna. that is. Kabe habe bolo, Sedina Mar. They are all part of Sharanagati. Srila Saraswati Thakur strongly opposed the paying of professional artists for Kirtana performances. He would say they are not chanting Hari Hari but Mani Mani, thereby merely increasing their bile secretion. Once at dawn at the Yoga Pita, Sri Sitana Das Mahapatra Bhakti Tirtha, a disciple of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, had an accomplished musician, was playing harmonium and sweetly crooning with intricate vocal modulations, Rai Jago, Radha wake up, Radha wake up. These are the first words of a Kirtana to be sung shortly before dawn by the famous Vaishnava lyricist Vidyapati, which describes parrots calling Radha to awaken. So Vidyapati song, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to hear them. Vidyapati song, Chandidasa songs, and Jaydev Goswami's songs. So they are very esoteric. One paragraph of Vidyapati which Prabhupada often quoted, which we should recollect and remember and recite. What is that? Tata Lesekate Vari Bindu Sama Sutamita Ramani Samaje. It's nice for us. Rai Jago. When Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati was informed of this, he stopped the recital with a message: first wake up yourself. First wake yourself up. Only after being established in your original spiritual form is it proper to think of waking Srimati Radharani. Generally it is done before waking up deities. Some prayers are recited. Of course there are standard prayers or verses to be recited to wake up the deities. They are part of Pancharatra, so we recite them. So here, when such, you can see the contradictions here. Like he also said, don't try to seek God. That doesn't mean we will not take darshan of the. It appears contradictory, right? Because it's one of the anga of 64 angas. To taking darshan is 64 angas, one of the 64 angas. And we are engaging our eyes in the service of Krishna. Right? Every limb of the body should be utilized in Krishna's. But what is he attacking here? What is he criticizing here? So he is criticizing that attitude actually, often he is criticizing that attitude. On another occasion, that same devotee was singing the Mahamantra in such a long, drawn out manner that it took him full 15 minutes to complete one mantra. 15 minutes, one mantra. Like in Gaura Arti also, one Prabhupada disciple, he questioned, where did Prabhupada sing this? Prabhupada has sung Gaura Arti many times actually. They pull this, no? Hare
that tune? Gaurarti tune. Goes on and on and recently who was singing? I think you were singing and it was evening time. People are there. I think I forgot to inform you. Gaurarti when we did actually recently. Gaur Purnima Day. Yeah. So, newcomers at least they can't follow that or long long pulling. So at least new. That's why we have to hear singing of Prabhupada actually, at least to understand what is the standard way of. Of course, we cannot follow Prabhupada singing often. His singing was unique. But at least some things, standard prayers in the temple which we sing morning, evening, we have to see that how he is singing tunes. He was modulating his voice and harmonium up and down the scale and gesticulating as if expressing deep emotion. This style of singing the Mahamantra, in which the holy names often become practically unrecognizable, is common among Bengali Kirtaniyas. Sometimes even in Gaudiya Math, sometimes we don't understand what they are singing actually. Often, of course, Saraswati Thakur, when Saraswati Thakur was there, that time Gaudiya Math was different. Later it was often all wrong songs like this Krishna Janaka Nama. It is there in, it is included in Gaudiya Math published song book actually. Chaitanya Gaudiya Math, Mayapur Chaitanya, which is considered as head math of all the Gaudiya Maths. It is included in the song book there. So many of the wrong songs and kirtans entered into ISKCON because of Gaudiya Math. Because initially there was no, ISKCON didn't have its own base in Mayapur and Vrindavan. So devotees would go and stay in the Gaudiya Maths. And in that way they absorbed many unauthorized kirtans. And the style of kirtans also unauthorized. You can see what happens when a great acharya goes away. So all Siddhanta, Viruddha, Rasa, Bhasa just enters into spiritual institutions. Srila Saraswati Thakur later remarked that the Mahamantra could have been sung 50 times in the same amount of time that the musician was singing it only once. He further, actually singing, we are not so much, of course we should not irritate Krishna by singing in a very bad way. Krishna should be pleased with our singing. But we should not so much our attention, the singer's attention and those who are also attending Kirtan, it should not go too much into music and all this kind of thing. The concentration should be on, focus should be on the holy names, hearing the holy names. That's why Bhaktivinoda Thakur was not so much in favor of singing too many tunes of Hare Krishna mantra. Nowadays it is a fashion in ISKCON also that they apply some cinema, some cinema tunes and make new tunes and sing. And they are celebrated Kirtaniyas who sing such cinema tunes. Anyway, he commented, persons lacking taste for the holy names or devotional service are attached to melodious tunes and musical performances as entertainment for their senses. We can dispel listlessness and all other anarthas by loudly and faithfully performing kirtan of the Mahamantra in the association of pure devotees. Especially kirtan is more important than japa for new beginners. It is told in Chaitanya Bhagavat in connection with Haridas Thakur. Haridas Thakur used to do kirtans, loud kirtans, also apart from chanting, japa. So sometimes people would complain, why you are chanting loudly? So there it is explained that how kirtan gives 1,000 times more benefit than japa. That doesn't mean we'll stop chanting 16 rounds of japa. But we should also do more kirtans of Hare Krishna mantra. Sometimes we should do long kirtans. Maybe here we can start now. Every festivals in the evening time, Ekadasi is long kirtans can be there, hours together. Of course, we don't have so many Mridanga players. Persons lacking taste for the holy names are faithfully performing Mahamantra in the association of pure devotees. Members of the Tala Tota Sampradaya, Tala Toka Sampradaya, those interested simply in rhythm and other musical attributes, are utterly entangled in profit, adoration and distinction, that is puja, la, pratishtha. Tala Toka, slapping the hand on the opposite arm, as in keeping time in music. Pure devotees always distance themselves from such pretenders and instead worship the holy name by full absorption in Sankirtan. Bhagavan, who is addressed by his holy names by such faithful devotees, manifests to them his transcendental form, qualities and pastimes. Love of Krishna develops exclusively in the hearts of those who chant in this way. This is quote from I think this is Acharya Kesari is a book, I think, of a biography of Bhakti Pragya Keshav Maharaj by his disciple Narayan Maharaj, Bhaktisiddhanta Narayan Maharaj, page number 64-65. Circa 1905, in an assembly in Lohagada, Jessore district, which is presently in Bangladesh, East Bengal, before it was part of Bengal, broader Bengal. After a Kirtaniya warbled, "Let me behold you standing on the left of the lotus of my heart, and then play your flute." Sri Siddhanta Saraswati piped in a refrain, "O my hired gardener, if you don't stand up, I will give you a whipping." Then he reproved, "There is not even a trace of bhakti here. It is simply chock-a-block with desire for personal enjoyment. Real devotees do not sing like this." So this story is from GV 3.172. I forgot what is GV actually. Okay, it's here. Srila Prabhupada Golokavani. These are publications based on his talks especially. Srila Saraswati Thakur knew all of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's songs by heart knew all the songs by heart, for they were his heart. Among his favorites were Gopinath, Radha Krishna Bol, Jai Radha Madhava, Sri Nama Kirtana, and Harinama Tuya Aneka Swarup. These were. Sri Nama Kirtana is what? Which one it is? Maybe.
When you told, I thought our Prabhupada. We are referring to our Prabhupada or Bhaktisiddhanta?
This book is, wherever it is, this book Prabhupada comes, it should be Saraswati Thakur.
Suddenly I thought, our Prabhupada knew, and I thought, Prabhupada knew our Prabhupada. Just of Prabhupada.
When did I say Prabhupada? Here at least Srila Saraswati Thakur knew all the Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur songs by heart, for they were his heart. Among his favorites were Gopinath, Radha Krishna Bol, Jai Radha Madhav, and Harinama Tuya Aneka Swarup. Similarly, Prarthana and Prema Bhakti Chandrika were practically his life breath. Prarthana and Prema Bhakti Chandrika are written by Narottam Das Thakur. This Prema Bhakti Chandrika, Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj used to say, you can get Prema in 25 paisa, he would say. Why? Go and purchase Prema Bhakti Chandrika, he would say. This is book written by, song book written by Narottam Das Thakur. Many of those songs we sing from Prem Bhakti Chandra. His life breath, from which he particularly relished Sri Rupa Manjari Pada, which he said should be kept by sadhakas as a garland around their neck. This is also from Golokavani, Srila Prabhupada. Okay, you must have Srila Prabhupada Golokavani. That one you must have connected. 3.2. Especially on the Avirbhav Thithis of Vishnu avatars, he would have Sri Jayadev Goswami Dashavatara Stotra chanted. Before establishing Sri Purushottam Mat, Purushottam Mat is Gaudiya Mat in Jagannath Puri, because it is a Purushottama Kshetra. Jagannath is called Purushottama. So therefore, different Gaudiya Mats which he established at different places, he gave different names to them actually. Like in Dhaka, when he established, he gave the name Madhva Gaudiya Mat. And in Varanasi, he established Gaudiya Mat and he gave the name, anyone knows? Varanasi. Sanatan. Saranatha. Sanatan Gaudiya Mat. Why Sanatan Gaudiya Mat? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructed Sanatan Goswami there. Then in Kolkata it was called as Sri Gaudiya Mat, just that, the first mat. Then in Kavur he gave, what name he gave to the Gaudiya Mat? Ramananda Gaudiya Mat. So like that, different Gaudiya Mats he gave. Chennai Gaudiya Mat. Don't remember. In Radhakunda, that Gaudiya Mat is there where Bhaktivinoda Thakur's and Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj Pushpa Samadhis are there, I think. So Kunji Bihari Gaudiya Mat he gave. like that. So this Jagannath Puri Gaudiya Math was called as Purushottam Gaudiya Math. Of course, later other Gaudiya Maths have been started there. Like we see Sri Chaitanya Gaudiya Math, it is called. That is birthplace of Saraswati Thakur. Actually, it was after the departure of Saraswati Thakur, I think his disciple Madhav Maharaj, Prabhupada, our Prabhupada god brother, he was not so favorable to Prabhupada, little troublesome. Anyway, we are not nowhere to comment on them. Madhav Maharaj, he bought that land, that place where Saraswati Thakur was born, and he established a Gaudiya Math there. That is called as Sri Chaitanya Gaudiya Math nowadays. The original Gaudiya Math now means that in Mayapur Gaudiya Math, the original, which is considered a head maths of all the Gaudiya Math actually. That became head math maybe because after the departure of that dispute between. So it is also called as Sri Chaitanya Gaudiya Math because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's birthplace it is Mayapur. Anyway, Purushottam Gaudiya Math. So that is in Grand Road. It is called Grand Road or Grand Road. Grand Road. It's just on Grand Road is a road on which Grand Road starts from that Jagannath temple on which Ratha Yatra takes place. So this math, that birthplace you all know, it was there. Saraswati Thakur's birthplace was on that Grand Road only. You all know that. So when Saraswati Thakur was few months old, he was taken, Ratha Yatra was there, Ratha stopped there and he was taken on the Ratha cart and garland fell. Lord Jagannath gave mercy garland to him. So it is on the Grand Road. But this Purushottam Math is near to that Thota Gopinath temple. That Gopinath temple where Gadadhar Pandit resided and worshipped. It's next to it. So they are all very close by, Thota Gopinath temple, and our present ISKCON, which is actually, it was called as Bhakti Kutir by, it is a place where Bhakti Vinod Thakur lived there and performed bhajan from 1900 to onwards up to 1900. Maybe 5 or 7, we don't know, I don't remember. So that has been converted to ISKCON Center now, which is a nice place, great place, not nice place, great place, spiritually great place. It is nice. And then there is also nearby there only Samadhi Mandir of Haridas Thakur, which was established by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself. Okay, so next what? I think we can stop here. Just a minute. Purushottam Math I started. Another 2-3 paragraphs are there, small paragraphs. This will complete the Kirtan section, then Japa section will come. Before establishing Sri Purushottam Math, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur lived for 2 months with some disciples in a rented house in Puri. During that period, he sent them to the seashore in the early morning to congregationally chant the Panchatattva mantra, Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. He explained that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his associates were at that time coming to bathe in the sea. This statement was based on the understanding that pastimes of Lord Chaitanya in Navadvip and Puri are eternally manifest, although only to sufficiently advanced and fortunate devotees, as per Chaitanya Bhagavat 2.23.5.13. अद्यापिह चैतन्ययै सब लीला करे यंड्र भाग्यता के से देखाए निरंतरे. Even now, Lord Chaitanya performs all these pastimes. Persons who are fortunate see them constantly. Once, when the Maharaja of Madhupur came to the Satchidananda Math, where it is Satchidananda Math, he requested that Ananta Vasudeva Prabhu sing, but Srila Saraswati Thakur directed another devotee who was not such a sweet singer to chant instead. Madhupur or Madhapur is in the hilly area of Orissa that flanks the border of West Bengal. Satchidananda Math is actually Cuttack. Satchidananda, there he gave the name Satchidananda Gaudiya Math actually. Because Orissa is actually native place of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, close to Cuttack. Once when Maharaja, okay, that was read. Yet on another occasion, in the presence of Maharaja Puri at a public program in Cuttack, Srila Saraswati Thakur asked Ananta Vasudeva Prabhu to sing Sri Vrajadhama Mahimamrita, which describes the place, inhabitants and moods of Vrindavan. Later, he personally expounded these topics to the Maharaja. During Aartis, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati generally remained behind the Tulasi Mancha just outside the Natya Mandira, taking pleasure in seeing the devotees dancing. This is from about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Tulasi Mancha, pillar generally 3 or 4 feet high, upon which a potted Tulasi plant is placed. These are common throughout India. In every house you can see this actually, traditionally. Not now. Now they don't have space for Tulsi. They have place for dogs. This is a pathetic condition of modern India. They sometimes dance back and forth between the deities and the Tulasi Mancha, and sometimes in a circle around Natya Mandira. From time to time, he would stand in the middle of Natya Mandira with the devotees dancing around him, but would remain grave, not dance. He preferred that his disciples dance in dignified manner, and not at least one occasion stopped a disciple who was dancing frenetically. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Any questions, comments?
At one point when playing of some tal book or something is mentioned, you understand what exactly?
I think that is clapping. That is a Talatoka Sampradaya. I think he himself, there is no such Sampradaya as such, I think. There are maybe some groups and all which that word must have been coined by Saraswati Thakur himself. That is my guess, of course. I can guess only. You may have to ask more details. So my guess is that there is no such Sampradaya as such, but there are some people who would, and he must have coined a word for them. So I will read again the footnote of this. Talatoka, slapping the hand on the opposite arm, as in keeping time in music. Hare Krishna.